pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Roll call.
Mr. Ellingson?
Here.
Mr. Haverly?
Present.
Mrs. Maxey? Here. Mr. Boone?
Here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Reininger?
Here.
Mr. Ward?
Here.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Good about my attention to things like control policy, 6 consent agenda. And maybe we could move it down to item C under unfinished business. Okay. Okay, approve changes to the agenda.
We have to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Question. Is this document been changed since we saw it in September?
Consent agenda.
It's not.
I'm not about to say that.
Okay. I just wanted to know if
I approve it. No changes.
Moving carries, we'll move on to our visitors. Seeing I don't have any cards, we can move on to recognition of Illinois State Scholars.
Yes, I want to thank my parents and students for coming tonight. Back in December, Jake Hubert sent me an email that we had 9 students that made the Illinois State Scholars, and I talked to Mr. Hubert, and I'm sorry he can't be here tonight. He had some family obligations to attend to, but I said to Mr. Hubert, I said this would be a nice thing for us to recognize at a board meeting. So Mr. Hubert has asked Ms. Jock to stand and talk to us a little bit. She's going to tell us a little bit about what it means to be an Illinois State Scholar, and then at the end, I'll give you guys each 3 minutes to make a speech. I won't. But then what I'd like to say thank you, and then Mr. Ellingson's also got certificates of achievement for you. We really appreciate the hard work you've done. So, Ms. Schock, would you like to talk a little bit about what the Illinois State Scholar is?
Sure. So it's very brief, but I'm Mrs. Shock. I'm actually the first year counselor at the high school this year, not the middle school counselor before, so most of your faces are similar. So the Illinois State Scholar Program is based on outstanding academic achievement. The students don't have to actually apply for an Illinois State Scholar. The state goes off of data that the counselors provide, class rank, GPA, and that kind of stuff. And then when students take the ACT and the SAT, those scores get sent automatically to the state, and then they have a formula that they plug in. So they're using, and I'll go to specifics on here, standardized test scores, performance-based academic data, and then any eligibility requirements outside of that come from the department report to them. So students have to be U.S. citizens, reside in Illinois, be a senior, have taken the ACT or SAT by the end of their junior year, and then score at or above in the 95th percentile on those tests, and then perform in that top half of your school. So those are like the specific requirements, but everyone who meets those requirements aren't automatically state scholars. So that's when it goes back to the formula that they put in from all of your students to them. So that's the program in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. At this point, if I call your name, if you'll come forward, Mr. Ellingson's got a certificate for you. Sure. I'll follow you. I'll read your name off, but if you'll come forward, we'd sure appreciate it. And I'm going to tell you, there's a couple names on here I'm really worried about. Michaela Babcock, is she here tonight? I'm going to read them, and even if they're not here, I want them to be recognized verbally. Alexandra Hill, come up.
Matt.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Matt.
Oh, I didn't see Mario there. Smile.
Is Zachary Johnson here? Come on up, Zachary. Zachary, is it Zach or Zachary? Either one. Is it Zachary when you're in trouble, or?
Mom, thank you.
Emil, is that how I say it? Can anybody help me say the last name? Mangulabdan. Mangulabdan. Emil Mangulabdan. Not here. Natasha Peterson. Natasha. Is Devin Rapp here tonight? Devin Rapp. Maggie Snuggs. I don't think I saw Maggie come in. Nicole Vanderbussy. Did I say it right? Congratulations, Nicole. Josh West was our last one. Thank you, parents, for bringing your kids. Kids, students, you're not kids anymore. Yeah, yeah. Congratulations, nice job. I would encourage you to keep up the hard work. You've got some great things going. Good luck to you guys, and I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight.
All right, and then we will move on to the,
Yeah, you are more than welcome to stay for our meeting, but if you need to get up and leave too, we understand. I put you at the front purposely, so thank you guys once again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
right, I guess now we will move on to the treasurer's report.
Just wanted to let you know that we are now in decision systems, so the treasurer's report, there was one more added on, that you normally didn't get, and this is what the decision system printed off. It was very similar to the one you normally get, but, so I just wanted to show you that, and I just wanna know that this transition went very smoothly. We're completely on decision systems now. The only gun guard that we've used is for viewing only if we have to do the work back. So, I'm happy it's over.
5 more years.
And a half.
We're happy you're happy.
I am.
We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Yes, got several items here. First off, just want to thank the students and families again for coming tonight. It's a very special award. Also, wanted to let you know that Jim Novak has received almost $6,000 from the Illinois Department of Commerce for energy efficiency. We'll use those in exchanging the exterior light packs on our buildings, and we'll be converting all those to LED lights, which will last a lot longer and be far more energy efficient. So 90% of the materials that'll cover all that will be gained out of that grant. So it's a small amount that we have to get in to be able to convert those over, but will be a lot more energy efficient. In the upcoming months, I will need to work with committee leaders to schedule meetings for curriculum, facilities, and probably business too. And so I'll be working with those committee chairs to set those dates. I also will be looking to form a communication committee. I'm working with the administrators right now to get some names and some suggestions of people that would be good. I believe Mr. Mulholland will be our chair for that. Is that correct, Mr. Ellingson? And we will, I'll pick a time to sit down with Ed and get that communications committee up and running as well too. Kelly Holsker thinks she's gonna go to Hawaii in February, but we do have Christy Garman that'll come in and help fill in for her while she's gone. But I wanted to give you a little heads up that we'll have a little period there without Kelly.
Do we get to vote on
Roll call?
And then the last thing is, at our last board meeting, when we were talking about the intern program for the special ed students at the high school, a description of the jobs and the businesses that were associated with was asked for, and so I put that in your folders tonight for you. So that's my report.
All right. And we move on to committee reports. Policy committee?
Minutes as presented. Meeting probably sometime in March.
Thank you. Business Service Committee?
Scheduled, but it sounds like we're gonna be getting one here shortly.
All right. Facilities long range planning?
No meeting scheduled. Like Brian said, we're gonna have one shortly.
Okay. Then CIA.
We have not had a meeting since I think last regular board meeting, and there are no plans to have one as of now.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll move on to item 9, consent agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Beverly?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland?
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Move on to item 10, unfinished business. First up, architect search.
At last board meeting, I was asked to place the architect on the board agenda. I know we've had this be a topic of discussion in the past, and am looking for direction tonight from the board. If they're looking to go through the process of choosing another architect, and if that is so the case, talk a little bit about a timeline of when we'd like to begin that search, if that's the direction they're so choose, so.
Some direction.
Yep. We have Cashman installed currently.
So is there value in occasionally or on a regular basis looking at the people that we've contracted with to see if that's an arrangement that we want to continue with going forward, so that we're at least in some kind of a cycle of evaluating, where we are and where we want to move forward with.
Looking for feedback from some of the people that we've contracted with to see how that relationship with some of the big roofing contractors, and so would you like me to do some of
Well,
that?
I mean, as, like we're doing with the attorney tonight, we're doing it with the architect, we're looking at potentially with the auditors going forward. Just taking a step back, seeing where we're at in that relationship, and just evaluating if we want to continue going in the direction that I think has some merit.
Was that by chance something that was already on the calendar that was presented to us a couple of meetings ago? Is that something we should just stick in a month that looks light?
Yeah, from what I'm understanding and what I hear is the process can be time consuming, encompassing, because you do interviews. You're gonna have to go out for request for proposal, I believe it is. You'll interview, you have to get, the process is kind of cumbersome. So, whenever we do it, we'll want to do it in a window of time where we give, if we choose to go with someone else, we give that new firm a chance to work with our documents, our drawings and everything, in a timeline where it still doesn't hinder us to get summer work and summer projects done if we need to draw things up. So, I think at one point we talked maybe possibly about a timeline of, gosh, we do something in spring and try to get something done early summer so that they can maybe get in and inspect the buildings over summer so that they're not in when kids are in, and then have their drawings and stuff available to them whenever we request to go out for proposals for any work being done.
That's specifically for the architect though, isn't it?
That's the
I think
architect.
Ed is talking any contract we have, or?
But I was talking about, just that process of occasionally, Tom's mentioned it a number of times, are we getting the best value we can? I just think that with all of these, there's an opportunity for evaluation and seeing, making sure that maybe we decide that we want to continue with them. I think that at least we'll take a step back and give it a fresh coat of paint, if you will, especially with some new people, with an election right around the corner.
So are you suggesting perhaps each year we look at, when we have contracts and not necessarily look at all of them, but look at the list of with whom we have contracts and talk about whether or not we should further pursue to the onerous task that he's talking about?
I don't even know if it's yearly or if it's every 3 years or every 4 years, but I mean, I think that, I don't necessarily know that you can do it yearly with architects because you would constantly have other people, projects overlapping each other, but I just think it has value to on occasion, take a step back and look at some of that stuff, so.
I'll get some feedback from contractors.
Yeah, I think we should just watch what we have happening here till August. We already got some work on the books. Let's talk to some of the vendors, see if they're happy with our architect, see how we feel about their work over the next few months. And then by August, if we did wanna change, that would give us time that we wouldn't be fighting to get something accomplished for the following summer's work, which is the big problem.
Of doing it right now, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd be okay with that.
So I'll bring something back in August, feedback from the vendors and stuff. Okay.
If we wait until August, though, the architects would be able to get buildings over the summer and look at things.
We need to bring it off for the school year, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big task to do, but at some point you just have to do it.
I also have contractors that we know have already worked with them, I can start to get feedback now, so maybe I could even, instead of August, maybe bring you back what we've gotten from contractors already by, gosh, say, April or May, or somewhere that work. If there's something clearing then maybe we can address it sooner.
That works. Okay. Anybody object to that? That's correct. Good. How to meet more goals?
Yes. That'll work. Last Tuesday night, the board met with administration and union representatives. Ms. Hanneman wasn't able to make it, but she'll be invited to our next one here. To use the collaboration process to create board goals. We discussed our strengths and our challenges that our school district are currently facing. And I've had a chance to meet with Ed and Matt and Jamie in an effort to group all those suggestions. And so as we looked at them, we kind of noticed that a lot of those suggestions fell really pretty nice and neatly right under the 4 areas that we have with our strategic plan. And so what I'm gonna do is, I'm in the process of dividing them up. We're gonna kind of divide those up, try to put some goal statements together just to encourage some discussion for the next time we meet. Tonight, what I need to do is to set another meeting date for us to develop those goals. And then I was gonna give the board an opportunity if they wanted to say anything about the goals night. My suggestion would be, I've been trying to keep Tuesday nights available. Would February 7th at 6:30 work on a Tuesday night? Not for you. The week before, Don, would it work?
31st.
That's next week,
And January 31?
Tuesday, it's a Tuesday,
31, yep, Tuesday.
yeah, that's fine.
That one works?
Does anybody else have, or is that what for everyone else?
I can make that work.
Yeah, I can make it.
I'm looking. Yeah, I think so.
Joe works for you?
Yeah.
Ryan, 31st work for you?
As much as any other day, well.
Yeah. You're okay, man? Okay. So maybe if I had a motion, I don't know if I need it.
What's the February 7th?
No, January 31st. February 7th, I had some people that couldn't make it, so.
Yeah.
That works okay for you? So, let's go ahead and plan January 31st, 6:30. We'll have our goals meeting here, it'll be 1 week from tonight. I'll get the email out to principals tomorrow. Kelly, got that?
He's there.
What are you? Okay, never mind. I won't make you say no. Okay. Would you like to send a
I'll
representative?
go write all the checks and then I'll come over here.
Would you like to send somebody?
No, I'll go write the checks and come back up.
Okay,
here.
fine.
6:30.
Sounds good. Good. Was there anything the board members wanted to add regarding the goals meeting the other night? Any comments, discussion, or?
So just to share with the group, I think the process is to come back and maybe begin to prioritize some thoughts, but ultimately it will be the board's decision to lock in on what the ultimate goals are and probably an open meeting after that.
Would you expect that we would wait till the new board members are seated before that begins with Ernest, or is that putting it off for too long? But we do have some superintendent goals to get it set in place.
I think the way I understand it, that these are my superintendent goals. Yeah.
I think we can go ahead and just move forward.
I'd really like to give everybody a head start on getting on board for next school year, so I don't know that I really would support waiting until May or June to get that. I just as soon get it done, let everybody get going.
Okay with that?
From the administrative standpoint, a lot of the things we've talked about will be things we're pushing and meet, kind of match what we're trying to do already. So I think, Heather, would you agree? Yeah. So I think if we set goals, it'd be nice to start right away.
I was curious, will the administrators discuss any of this with their teachers prior to the next meeting? Or would it be possible that maybe each administrator brings a key teacher from their building? We're setting all these goals, talking about student achievement and all this stuff, and the only educator in the room last time was a board member. So I don't know if they wanna have a meeting in between to discuss what way things are heading, or if they would like to bring a few teachers in. It just seems a little lopsided. I realize we don't wanna have 500 people here either.
I'm not opposed to it, but
Is there possibly a way to get with everybody and have Kelly come back with a one voice?
The administrators can come back. I trust them to bring the voices of the teachers back. I do. But, don't have a strategic. I'm confused on what this is.
you still have a strategic plan, which really is gonna help guide a lot of this too. And a lot of times what this School District 230 did is they created their goals, but it also mirrored what their strategic plan was. So, but that's how they developed some specific goals for a board to drive for that year. But I could work with the administrators then about picking a key teacher from each building and offering it.
One elementary, one middle, one high school.
I could do
I
that.
don't wanna be overwhelmed.
How about that?
Let's do it.
I'd be comfortable with that.
One each.
Okay.
Anything further on board goals? Or anything further on board goals? I will move on to item C. 6:310.
Seems to be the policy that won't die, it just keeps coming back and back and back. If you guys remember, a couple months ago, I asked for 6:310, high school credit for non-district experiences. Was discussed a bit at curriculum committee, and then from there, we sort of ended up at an impasse. It was then sent down to a sub-curriculum committee and discussed for a couple meetings there. That subcommittee suggested or passed forward that we just take Press's suggestions, which was essentially not to limit, if you look at 6:310, was to not limit credits that can be counted towards requirements for student high school graduation. It then went to policy, and policy decided to present to us in the consent agenda that it be limited. And that sort of flew up a red flag for me, because I have been in those other committees. I don't believe anybody at policy had been in those subcommittee meetings. So I kind of felt like all that was for naught, and I again think that maybe what we need to do is, as a board, decide what direction we want to see this go. If we want to limit, if we want to extend, if we want to promote the off-campus offerings that we have.
Do we very often go against Russ's recommendations? That stuff's put on, I mean, I guess I was under the impression that the reason that so much of the policy stuff goes through a first reading and then goes to consent is because it's pretty much accepted verbatim.
Don, maybe you wanna answer that a little bit. Most of the time, what I see is a lot of times you're accepting press as verbatim, because it's got a lot to do with the lawyer jargon and a lot to do with the, state laws that are passed. I noticed with us, we have often little blurbs that are specific to North Boone practice in ours. I don't know, Don, do you wanna expand on that? A lot of times it is a lot of legal jargon and
Yeah, press more or less keeps you legally aligned. They don't go beyond that. They'll even tell you though that it's your prerogative in some places to make policy. And every district does it. Every district has policies specific to those districts. This committee met, everyone was present except for Mr. Boone, I think, and it was unanimous to raise this from 3 to 4 credits. We had quite like the discussion on not only this, but there were several other things in that policy that were getting attention that we spent time on. And everyone thought that going from 3 to 4 for a multitude of reasons. Some that we also, once we completely eliminate any kind of maximum amount of credits, that we open up the door, that we lose all control of what that class could be, other than the principals signing off on it. So we don't have any control over the rigor or what's exactly in that subject matter. We also felt that there were classes that were offered at North Boone that the students could take, would have to take a college level or outside credit course. I know colleges, if they offer a course, very seldom will transfer in a similar course if it's part of their curriculum. I don't see an overwhelming push by anyone at our meetings to open this up anymore. We didn't have anybody from any of the curriculum committees, any of the subcommittees attend our policy meeting, which was scheduled in the evening. If you'd like to send it back to policy and more people attend, you can do that.
I think the obvious thing would be to maybe table to send it back to the curriculum group to get some feedback, to bring back the policy, and you can bring this back to us again. Does that be fair?
Back to curriculum.
Or,
I-
so, either,
what I would probably suggest is we combine a couple of those committees together to discuss it.
I guess I'd also like this
So that
idea
both
of
sides are,
how many other school districts there be, or most other school districts abiding by this policy verbatim from press, how many are gonna deviate
I
from
think there was a mix, that's what we were noticing, there was a mix. There were some that were just taking press as written. There were some saying that, if they felt that they offered the course, that they wouldn't accept the outside one because it was being offered by them. Some of it is, again, you're looking to maintain, if you have too many kids flee your district, how do you maintain rigorous courses, or how do you maintain those number and course offerings on your campus, is what some of the concern was. I mean, that's, both sides have merit to it, they do. You want those kids to have offerings, but at the same time too, you want to, from a district level, you want to be able to offer rigorous and variety of options for your kids to be able to take on your campus as well. So that's the two issues really we're wrestling with.
Is there evidence that that's an issue now?
I don't think so. I don't see the numbers that are there. I think what you're just doing is staring is completely as being an issue. I don't see it right now. That's not what makes sense.
Part of the reason I pulled this off consent is that I have kind of an issue with just, I shared with Mike, kind of just the protocol of it. This had been discussed in curriculum, went to sub-curriculum committee, was discussed at length there, was presented, I thought it was gonna go to board, I guess I didn't realize it would go to policy. Or else I would have attended the policy committee. The last policy committee I attended was, as you said, pretty much just, if press suggested it, we go with it. And press has suggested that we not have the black 1, 2, 3 and the sentence before. And so since the subcommittee met twice to discuss it and ultimately agreed that yes, we should just go with press's recommendation, I assumed policy wouldn't be able to undo that, I guess I guessed that incorrectly. And also, I kind of felt uncomfortable with being on the consent agenda because he said there was at-length discussion, but if you look in the policy committee's meeting minutes, there is no at-length discussion in there with which you folks could have looked at, well, what was discussed, and those minutes are there for curriculum committee if you wanted to, and so I just kind of felt like this needed to be pulled off so that we could have this discussion and wouldn't just be approved.
Is there a way for us to know then where we deviate from press when it comes to us? If the committee does decide to deviate from it, is it italicized or? So at
When
least,
we get press, Kelly, you might be able to help us a little bit. Stuff that we have in black that is struck, is that correct?
If press is overwriting ours, it's struck in red. If they're in, it's underscored in red. So we
Say
take our
that- say
current-
that again.
We take our current policy and then overlay the press policy and merge that and show the changes. So any strikeouts in red or what press is taking out, like their version doesn't match. If it's struck in red, press doesn't show that. If it's underscored in red, that's what press is in. We didn't have, but some of this, they just replaced, they moved it to other parts of the policy.
So pretty much to sum it up in 6:310, press took out, it mentioned if students want to take dual credit, running start, CNT, distance, online, pretty much everything had been crossed out in red saying, don't limit that. But the last statement, if you scroll down, Kelly, said that ultimately the superintendent has the opportunity to okay that, and the final say is going to be with the superintendent. What we did, if you scroll back up, and it again doesn't seem quite right to me, if press suggested that 1, 2, 3 be crossed out,
No,
and
they did not.
they did, if you could,
They did not suggest it be crossed out.
it was crossed
It's
out.
never been, it's never been in press. That's
I
been,
have it right here on my
that's,
computer.
that's been policy for some time in our district.
I have it right here, Don. That's what press suggested, all that is crossed out. It's in
not-
red and it's crossed out.
But it got changed here.
It did get changed there, which was, to me, not correct. We undid press's red cross out and put it back into black as though it's always been there and always has been there. And I knew it hadn't been. And I wasn't sure you guys had. It just didn't seem that should be in a consent agenda.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I mean, I think that those bullet points, with the exception of, said 3 credits before, had been previously in our policy.
But press suggested we get rid of all that. Their suggestion is that in red, and strike out was 1, 2, 3, and the maximum of.
And then this would go back to sometimes where, like, so for that in black, we have blurbs because it's been specific to our district where press has recommended something. The press's policy is usually pretty more general. We've got several examples in our policy where we hold bits and blurbs of lines as a practice to us as protection under policy. So that, I mean, that has been there, but it's been, obviously that's a blurb from North Boone School District that's been sent or, prioritized by North Boone School District previous, whenever this one was. Last time, and I think it was April of 14, 15. Remember that we were looking at that because it had just been changed, it wasn't even that old.
But after we leave the committee, they make the suggestions and then they're not document based on their suggestions. Goes forward with what the policy committee recommended.
And so what I did, because I knew, Yeah.
This language.
and I knew that this policy was discussed when we were looking through all of our high school offerings and everything with this. Knew that when the curriculum committee, or the sub-curriculum committee talked about it, that they felt that that was the deal. So I made mention of that and brought that to policy committee so that they knew where that committee stood. And in our discussion, that committee just had a different stance, so that's why I made sure that I notified Joe, said, Joe, that's not what would have gone over the committee, that's why we probably should pool that policy for discussion at the board level.
So we're kind of talking about two different issues at this point. Whether or not we do limit it, we keep the maximum of 4 credits is a discussion we need to have. But the other part of it was, as Ed's getting at, and maybe Tom's kind of following along with this, there should be something. Tom really hasn't, I don't think, been in on this discussion about 6:310. When he goes to look at those policy changes that occurred at the last policy meeting, and he looks through all 40 of those policies, something should jump out at him that this was a change made at the last policy meeting, isn't Press's suggestion, this is something the committee came up with. I feel that that should be the case, or that Tom should be able to go to the minutes and it should have at-length discussion in there, who said what and why that was changed to green or purple or whatever. So we have kind of a procedural issue, and then also,
How do we have a meeting that had discussion without minutes?
Had minutes.
but if you.
Can
pull
you
up
read the
minutes-
minutes of the long discussion about this that you earlier said you had?
Who else was at the animal, Mr. Greenlee, Mr. Klett?
I'm just asking you to have the minutes read about the discussion of this.
The minutes.
I'm not asking for who was at the meeting, that wasn't my question.
The committee also discussed policies 6:3, 6:310, and 7:100. The committee recommended taking these policies for a first reading to the regular board meeting. So there's no, we worried about this happening at the high school, or the loss of teachers, or the loss of our best students. It just seems to me that there should be something in those minutes that lets you know, especially since it's in the consent agenda, which really doesn't allow for discussion, lets you know that changes were made that we might want to discuss, or maybe just go, no, we understand, we read the minutes, we're okay with that. Because it seems to me that curriculum committee minutes are pretty in-depth, and I've seen facilities minutes, those are pretty in-depth. And this seems pretty important to me, that we would have fairly in-depth minutes also.
Yes,
Or some indication up there, as we're looking at it, that was a decision, that was a change made, not Press's change, but a change made by the
Were
policy.
those minutes recorded? Could you transcribe them?
I don't think anybody wants her to transcribe them verbatim. We're merely asking that
Minutes
they,
for policy are mirrored, how they've always been done in the past. It's just the policy's presented, there is discussion, here's what the board wants to, here's what the committee would like to move forward with the board. So there's never been, from what I can see in the history of policy minutes, verbatim discussion. If they want that to change.
and I don't want anything to make more work for you, Kelly, but if a policy is changed at that meeting, it seems to me that it should be withdrawn from the consent agenda. We should assume everything on the consent agenda hasn't been changed by anybody except press, and I think most of us aren't going to go against what press suggested, but if something has been changed, even you mentioned that the immunization date.
Well, if that's the case, if that's what you want, because to me, I think then now I start to lose the function of what the committee is. The committee is reviewing those in an effort to streamline some of the board meetings with some more of the, what do you want to say, the regular protocol of those. So that's why you have the committee meeting. But if you want every change that's ever listed for policy, then I probably would say we go one by one through them at a board. I know what you're saying, and that's why I have verbally made connections with you guys to let you know that we had two
And I appreciate that.
committees that weren't on the same page, so that we could get into a
I think
discussion.
the other underlying thing is, we touched base with each other on this a couple of occasions, and I think the majority of the board is in support of the credit and the Running Start programs. This seems to be a step in the other direction.
I don't think we ever came to a consensus.
But that's what I asked a couple months ago, and we
We
were
talked about
really
it.
unwilling to do that. So I guess what I'd like to see today is maybe for us to take an informal vote or something of what would we like to be the policy committee's guide as it moves forward.
fair to say I support the opportunity for kids to go outside and get dual support credits unlimited until it becomes a problem. And when they start program as well.
Has the limit of 4 credits become a problem? It was 3. You know, 4.
We've got safeguards built in for the superintendent to evaluate when it becomes a problem anyway. So at that point, if it becomes a problem, we get to go back and readdress it.
But it's
But the
something,
way that reads right now is I would only be able to approve, and it's superintendent or designee, and our designee or myself would only be able to approve a maximum of 4 if it was outside of those scopes. That's the way I'm reading it, am I correct?
But that's policy suggestion, that's not press's suggestion.
That's our, yeah, that was from the policy committee.
Which is why I guess I would go back and support what Russ had versus what we have.
and I'm just worried that it's gonna be too late for that year. If we do lose a section of an verbal level class, then some kids will be left without that class for that year, and we're in the next one.
I don't think we can make policy on submission about what might possibly happen. I mean, if it becomes a problem, something we can come back and address that later.
I don't think this has been a problem.
It isn't a problem to let people go out and get the
No, I
right
think-
to choose.
3 was never really a problem either, when we had 3 credits, we raised it to 4.
One of the things we also talked about is that if we eliminate that entirely, it would possibly get a North Boone diploma and never attend school there.
No.
Why wouldn't it?
If anybody were gonna do that, they would homeschool.
If you go to college.
Are we talking mostly junior, senior year? Almost exclusively junior and senior year?
I don't think it says
It doesn't say that, that's what's written.
But again, we can talk about all the things that might happen, but what is happening, and again, we can discuss what was discussed in policy, but if we're gonna do that, I'd like to go back and discuss all the things that were discussed at those subcommittee meetings, which were 2 pretty long meetings, and began with the mostly concern about doing this, and ended with the, why would we limit this? I feel fairly, Jake's not here today, but I feel pretty confident with the parents and everybody that was there saying, why would we limit this? In 6 years, we have 36 students in the program, only 2 of which are doing dual credit. If it becomes an issue and we've got some glaring issues, I don't see why we can go back. Clearly, we can change policy fairly easily.
What have been the problems with this so far?
Except, I'll just say, we've got 2 students who are in current violation of our policy and would continue to be in violation of our policy if we kept it at this. Why? And that's the question, why would we limit this if it's not a problem?
I would ask, how could they be in violation? This doesn't prohibit you from taking college courses. It only prohibits the number that you can apply towards your high school diploma. So how can it be in violation?
We have students who are finishing their junior and senior year.
Yeah,
In the
see-
dual credit program allows you to take your entire, and Running Start also, allows you to take your entire junior and senior year. So we're allowing it with Running Start, really the only thing that this limits is dual credit, which only,
I think the Running Start's a completely different program. It's elsewhere.
those are Rock Valley colleges, courses.
Elsewhere, no, it has its own rules and regulations.
It does now, but it doesn't have to.
Nothing in this policy prohibits a student from taking a college course.
You're right. Are we going to limit them to taking 3 courses outside of North Boone? Again, we can talk about the pros and the cons, and as Mike said, we've multiple times come to an impasse, but this did go to a subcommittee that spent 2 long nights discussing it, passed it forward. I didn't think about the policy committee potentially undoing that. I should have attended the meeting. But I just assumed, since what we were suggesting was what press suggested, that we not limit it, that it would have just gone right through and not been a point of discussion. And I have not yet listened to this to hear all the arguments, but I have sat through 2 other meetings where, and I'm assuming I'm gonna hear the same arguments in there, but a different committee came to a different decision. And I, again, a couple months ago noted that we were having this waffling back and forth, lots of legitimate reasons why we shouldn't, lots of legitimate reasons why we should. Maybe the board should express how they feel and what they'd like to see happen here, to give some sort of overarching guidance.
Give her for me.
Tom?
I don't see the reason to limit their credits either. I don't see the reason for all the rewrite here.
I agree, I don't see no reason to limit it.
There it is. Oh, Brian, sorry.
I'm fine with, what Prem says, myself.
So you're gonna be removing the fees and the,
Not sure I really understand the fees anyway, but I'm not sure that's something you wanna discuss at this meeting.
it doesn't have to be approved by the building principal, so that's gonna all be gone now?
That's what press suggested, that's what the subcommittee suggested.
Me personally, I would have, if you're going to move it up, I would still like to see at least a superintendent or designee sign off on it. And I would also assume the responsibility of things, that would be what I would probably,
That's the bottom of page 2,
that's part of that, and I think it might get hit a couple other
It's
spots.
the bottom of page 2 right there, a student must seek approval from the superintendent or
Yes.
designee.
And it's also covered in that paragraph too about responsibilities and fees, tuition supply.
I guess as long as we're on this topic, again, I have kids that can go to Rock Valley for free regardless. It's not gonna benefit my kids, but we oftentimes have conversations about the limited offerings we have for our best and brightest. We had that long before this discussion started. And so we have an opportunity for our best and brightest to get their feet into college courses. We've
Unless
seen the
they can afford
AP
it.
results, the AP test results were not good. So if our suggestion is to offer increased AP courses, I might be for that as long as I was sure that the rigor was high enough and that we had a high enough success rate with our AP courses, but it's not, it's just not there. And I've talked with other parents, many on the board, who have said, you know, that once your brightest kids get so far, there's really not much left for them. And I think we have an opportunity for them to have something here. And so I don't see a reason to limit it if we're keeping the students' ability to transfer into college and continue on in school, first and foremost.
But not every kid's parents are gonna want to go to Rockdale, some are going to
Well,
stay
they don't
here
have to,
unless sections get cut.
unless, but sections are already being cut, and again, we've already had this back and forth, but again, we can do it now if we want to. We already have students not, of sections being cut, not having enough offerings.
Let's get the other part fixed, let's get the AP classes performing at a level where they need to. We can go back and readdress this.
Or let's, as a board, decide that we're going to let those best small number of courses go with even if they're below a minimum, so those best and brightest still have something.
Running Start does more with that than this policy.
Why is Running Start not on here? Why is Running Start in a separate entity? Because it's really, it should fall underneath high school credit for non-district experiences. It is a non-district experience, but it is absolved of all this regulation.
We approve
I
that
thought
every
that-
year
I
too.
thought it was a district experience, that was why we were paying for it. Isn't that ultimately what the difference between the two programs are?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that, I mean, we do pay for it.
The difference between the two programs is Running Start is a predetermined associates program. I think we have 3 of them now. If the students get a running start, their schedules are already picked for them. Dual credit allows for students to pick 1, 2, or their entire junior and senior year. And so far, we've only had, unless I'm incorrect, 2 students who have used it for their entire junior and senior year. Most students just sort of pick and choose and do this. But that gives them the freedom, then they have to pay for it though.
You're gonna start also a contractual agreement between governmental bodies, and I think it also tracks student attendance, which you lose here. Does it lose it, or does it?
It doesn't include attendance. I have running start and dual credit students.
Right, but I think we get attendance, we get a week of attendance from our students that attend.
I believe in the end, we're supposed to.
You mean from reimbursement for the state?
Well, no, and I think from Rock Valley too, this has been a little bit of contention with Rock Valley.
I wouldn't wanna throw in that financial aspect of it to be the limiting factor, but again, I'm only 1 of 7. If you guys see that lack of reimbursement as an issue, then I will
The
understand.
financial is covered in, there's something it says student assumes responsibility for any fee, tuition, supply, or other expense.
That's in vocation academy, that applies to number 7.
Maybe it sends back to committee with the framework that on the top, or the top part of it, we go with Russell's and try to straighten out the rest of this. It sounds we're going to make more than a few changes to this right now. Because we're good at those.
Is that something that should go back to policy committee, we'll rewrite down based on board direction?
It's the right policy on the file. Usually it takes a rewrite, and that's why we have 2 readings at least before it becomes policy. Catch errors and another caveat.
Will you scroll up a little bit? And I don't have policies. What I ended up doing was taking Press's clean version with all the strikes and everything out of it, so that you could actually read something fluid. What I would have to do is go back and take a look at their clean version, basically with putting a maximum of credits in to see how that looks for you.
So we're moving forward with promoting CNC, Advanced Now, Running Start, all of those other options that for some reason don't fall under this 6:310, but we've decided to limit these. Maybe at that policy meeting, we can discuss why that is. Maybe it's a financial issue, maybe it's a state reimbursement issue. But I just didn't like that the policy committee made this change and it was on the consent agenda and we're gonna move forward with it without there being pretty detailed minutes, or now that I have these, I can at least hear the rationale. We did spend a lot of time with the curriculum committee working on this. Think about it, going to policy and being forward.
I have a question. Like, does it say in our, being I was at the high school for a couple years, it doesn't say which classes can be offered for dual credit? Is that in the curriculum guide for the high school?
There isn't a list. There isn't a list, so what it will come down to is an administrator having to look at the syllabus and compare syllabus with expectations.
Cause I know my daughter goes to a different high school, but like in their course descriptions, it does state like which English courses can be offered for dual credit, which science courses. So you can't just go and take whatever you want and assume it to count towards your, you know, your 12, your 4 years of science, or like, you know. That's what I was just wondering, if anywhere in our curriculum guide
Some
it
schools
says-
do it that way, some just read the syllabus. That was a lot of that discussion too.
Cause it just says in here, like, may receive high school credit for, and then,
Press pretty much deleted everything. You can receive high school credit for any of
okay,
those.
or
And we
completing
actually
any
did
of the
discuss that
listed
at-
courses or experiences, so we don't have any courses, so press doesn't list which courses, they say listed courses or experience, because we have experiences listed, we have distance learning, we have vocational, we have foreign language, but there's nothing that lists which high school courses they can receive, is that correct?
True. So as, at the subcommittee meeting, when we discussed this, how as a principal, will Jake
Right.
keep track of what is allowed and what transfers as what? We spent a long time talking about this, and then ultimately, we ended with, if a student ends up getting, and now we were talking dual credit.
Because I think we were talking about a case of a student that had taken a course at Hanamiga for CNC and did not get honors credit because Hanamiga did not offer his honors credit. So we looked at what we offer versus what the school offered in that regard. I was just wondering if it was anywhere in our course curriculum guide that said which high school courses could be offered for dual credit. Because then that could limit, you would know, okay, well, I can take this class, I can't just take whatever. So then you don't run the risk of necessarily completing your high school diploma through Rock Valley or wherever you go, if only so many classes qualify.
I don't know if you were there for the second meeting, you were there for the first meeting, yes.
Yeah.
At the second one, we discussed that, at least with dual credit, if you get an associate's degree from Rock Valley, regardless of what you take, that should equal a high school diploma. I mean, if you have, because actually what we're finding, or at least I'm finding, is that my son is having to take more classes at North Boone, for North Boone's graduation, than Rock Valley would even require for an associate's, which then led to how have we decided what our graduation requirements are? Will Jake need to keep track of it? The college handles this, as you probably know, by just looking at the transcript. If you transfer into a different school, they ask for a transcript, they
Right.
compare the two, and then somebody, some higher up, has to take the fall for yes, this will transfer, or no, it won't.
I
I'm
would
not saying
make
we
a,
have to make a decision now, but this is gonna go back to committee, so I just kinda felt like there should be some guidance from the board if they're ready to do it now. Or we should maybe have a curriculum / policy meeting and with good minutes.
I would make a motion to schedule a March policy committee / curriculum meeting overlapping to discuss policy 6-310, date to be determined in March.
I'll second it. Maybe we, the two groups can get together.
With no pre-guidance from the board,
I think you got guidance.
do we have guidance? Do we have guidance enough? Because I can tell you what's gonna happen, we're just gonna rehash this and all this stuff over again.
You asked the
And as
group,
Mike said, there are legitimate
five of us
reasons.
that we support keeping it open, so.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed? Motion carries. We will move on to new business. Junior, please, 17 bills.
So it's my turn to review the bills. I got with Julie and Mike, and it'd be my recommendation to approve the bills as presented. Julie will be coming back with a couple of challenges for the software piece at the business services meeting next month. And that'll be a board agenda meeting item for February. So I move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call.
Mr. Haverly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey. Yes. Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger.
No.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Olmstead.
Yes. Alright, approval of 2017-18 calendar.
Yeah, the calendar is proposed, the calendar I proposed is very similar to the calendar we had from this year. Again, I used feedback from staff and administration. The slight changes that you'll notice this year are that I separated the conference nights, which was very well pointed out by staff, that it was tough to have 2 conference nights in a row. So I've separated them by a week apart in October and February. I also put an emergency day in December before we go to Christmas, so that if we, because we came close this year, needed an emergency day, that finals would not drift over into after Christmas break. And I also placed an emergency day on the backside of Easter, which would give us 2 extra instructional days in a time frame that's a little more meaningful than just added on at the end of the year. So I'd ask for one calendar for the 27-18 calendar year, school year.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
As an aside to the calendar, have we had any luck getting a board calendar together that kind of leads us into, levies due this month?
I gave it to you, didn't I? Pass it out to you guys?
Pardon?
Board calendar? Didn't
Yes.
I? Yeah, they're goals. I put together a whole calendar to show each month, which should be up there. Is that what you're referring to it?
Do we got access to that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
It was a couple
My
of
bad.
meetings ago, I had to go back and look it up too, I couldn't find it.
Brain dead.
It's okay. Well, I had to think about it because I don't know.
Item C, surplus items.
Yes. We have some extra uniforms and things at the middle school and the tech department with just some extra tech equipment. What they're asking for, that are surplus items, they're no longer needed. They still have some value, and what they'd like to do is sell them back to the public, put that money that they earn from them back into some of their own tech accounts and uniform or activity accounts for the sports department or the athletic department. Like I said, they're not bad enough to go to a landfill. There will be people that we think will find some value in them. I believe we have a resolution that says it allows us to do so, with pricing being put at the administration's discretion, so.
Is it price to sell?
Price to sell, price to move.
Is it going into a general fund, or is the girls' uniforms go to girls' programs, cheerleaders go to cheerleaders, boys stuff goes to boys
You
stuff?
know, we didn't get into that. I know that they had some activity, athletic things that they were looking at improving in the gym and stuff like that too. So possibly just a general account. It wasn't specifically earmarked for anything.
We'll try and make it as fair as we can.
Did move to approve the resolution declaring the listed and presented items as surplus.
Second.
Sure.
How is that handled? Is it done on Craigslist, eBay, is it published in the paper?
It's online.
Garage sale?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do it online and in-house first, and then sometimes Jerry does go out afterwards and post that on eBay too.
It's online.
I saw all the pictures, but I didn't see any mention of you're gonna wanna go here to submit a bid.
I mean, there's a real,
Yeah, then I'll start to work with the administration on the process of how it's done, what they price it at.
I was just wondering
How they get the word out.
There was a
Craigslist,
lot of
eBay. That's gonna take a
And I'm
while.
assuming that once we've approved it, then they'll put it like on the district
They'll-
webpage in the middle school or Facebook page and that kind of thing.
Figure out how to communicate it and then sell it. They're trying to keep it open as fair as possible.
Is it, you put a price on the first person who offers that? Or is it sort of?
They're gonna price it and then people can buy it as priced.
Oh.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland,
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger.
Yeah.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Ellingson,
Yes.
Mr. Haverly,
Yes.
All right, item D, retention of the board attorney.
Yeah, Scott Nemenick has moved from Hinshaw Culberson to Klein Thorpe Law Firm. I talked to him a little bit. He has assured me though that there's no change in billing, there's no change in our relationship. And the other thing that I asked was, is you're not about ready to retire in the next year or two? And he assured me that he will be with us for at least the next 7 years. So I just wanted to make sure that the board knew that the billing was going to be changed if they still are okay moving forward with keeping Scott as our attorney.
I make a motion to retain Scott as our
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland,
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger.
Yeah.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Ellingson,
Yes.
Mr. Haverly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item E, farmland rental.
Yeah, I'm asking the board to set the rental rate, on our leased farmland for the upcoming year. I again checked the data from the U of I Extension Office for what they anticipated this year. Their data indicated a slight decrease of about 2.5% or about $7 total, compared to last year. Last year, we asked for $250. If I followed U of I Extension's recommendation, we'd be at $243. And so, I'm just looking for feedback from the board. If they're okay with that, or if they'd suggest a different rate, we approve it for the upcoming, year for the farmland.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Is this something that just rolls over in the same family and has been in the same family for quite a while?
Yeah, I believe so.
Go ahead.
Maybe this is heresy in an agricultural community, but is it anything to put out to bid or not to bid, but to say, does anybody wanna offer more in the way of increasing revenue and maybe people, I'm just throwing that out there. We're always seeming to be looking for making money, but could it be something that even the ag, FFA or something, could raffle off, who's willing to pay whatever per acre, and that not go over at all?
Normally, the leases have some kind of provision for them that if you're not going to rent back to somebody the following year, you would have notified them by October 1st or November 1st.
Fair enough.
And so in fairness to the people who already made financial plans to farm our ground, I think that we stay here. If that's your interest, then you let Mike know that for next year, we touch base on it and see if that's where we want to go.
I agree. And the only thing I was gonna say is that it's not a big deal. I don't know why we'd be reducing the rate. A lot of times it's $250, and say, hey, we're gonna do the same thing again. Most people are gonna say, great.
You had some guys that farm them that take care of them. That's important. I think the guys that are gonna pay more for that, gonna have to cut more someplace because those numbers don't really work to make a profit for the upcoming year, so. If we got guys that are fertilizing and taking care of it, working with the staffs here to minimize the impact of the staff, the students, I mean, you could potentially have somebody come in here and say, I rented this, I got access to this, to do what I want. Kids and staff be darned. I think that's gotta have some value too.
And we haven't had issues to this point.
I know he makes sure the kids ain't around when he's here, so.
We need to.
And we're only talking about 71 acres, it's not a significant amount of money or land. I mean, 71 acres is nothing.
We do have a motion and a second.
Second. Oh, sorry, somebody seconded it.
No further discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Mulholland,
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger.
Yeah.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Ellingson,
Yes.
Mr. Haverly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Moving on to item number 12, executive session. We need a motion for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity.
Second.
Motion, a second?
Mr. Reiniger?
Yeah.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Ellingson?
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Mulhall?
Yes.
Session. Yes.
Okay. We're getting better.
I remember now, I still don't know how to. Just put the, just push the far right. I don't know. Still. So I can answer it. That's good. Can't transfer.
Maybe next time.
We have a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Any recommendations for executive session?
Yes, I'd move to approve to set up an NBEA, the sick bank, to benefit Emily Elms for the remainder of the 2016-2017 school year, not to exceed 30 days. Certified staff can each donate 1 day.
Motion?
Mr. Ward? Move to approve the set of an NBA sick bank to benefit Emily Elms for the remainder of the 2016-17 school year, not to exceed 30 days. Certified staff can each donate 1 day.
Yes.
Mr. Ellingson?
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey? Yes. Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Mulhall?
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger?
All right. There's no more business to go to the board. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you, Mayor.
Have a good week, Brian. Thank you.